I'm working on motorcycles today, but I keep meaning to try. These are lapel mics, that you stick on your shirt and it's wireless to the camera or to the phone. The odd thing is, it's Chinese directions. So I don't know if these are both on the same channel or if there's two channels. Just a puzzle to me. But there's a green light on both of them. So evidently they're both working. But okay, does it pick up on this mic now or this mic? Is it different channels? That's what I don't know. That, but like I say, little tiny Chinese instructions. But it might work better than the other mic. Okay, what I was going to talk about. I've been out on the road grader for the last couple of days, and I've been thinking about this. I heard that. Okay, first the FBI raided Scott Ritter, his home, and carted off like a dozen boxes of papers. They're trying to charge him under that FARA Act, foreign agent registration, which is funny, because they're saying he's like an agent for the Russians because he wrote for RT. He wrote an article that was in RT. Well, a lot of people have written articles in RT. Uh, like Jesse Ventura did it. Ron Paul certainly has done it. A lot of people have. RT is a very respected news agency. But of course, we don't like them. The FBI doesn't like them. They tend to tell the truth. They can't handle that. So, they didn't arrest him. But the one time when he was going to a conference and they yanked his passport on him so he couldn't leave the country. That kind of weird stuff. It's just trying to be annoying. It's using the FBI to intimidate your own people, which is just weird. But another thing that bothered me was to hear that somebody in the TSA had kind of blown the whistle on this deal that they have been kind of surveilling or doing when you go through the TSA, they can do like an enhanced version of this, and they have been doing that to Tulsi Gabbard all the time now here lately. I mean, it's been a constant thing, and it's just a form of intimidation. Like they're trying to claim that she's a domestic terrorist. Granted, Biden and Harris do not like Tulsi because Tulsi does not care for them. And she's made that very plain. She's rather outspoken on this stuff. But to use the TSA to intimidate somebody, using bomb sniffing dogs and drug sniffing dogs and going through all their luggage all the time, that is only intimidation, but that isn't what that's for, because in the meantime, they're actually have been known to let wanted terrorists through, and so here's somebody who is certainly not a terrorist, and they let her through, or they don't let her through. They have to do that enhanced search on her every time. But That's something. It was somebody in the TSA who blew the whistle on this. So it's good that there's some people who have some conscience about this kind of thing. But that your politicians can misuse, like the FBI and the TSA, for their own ends, that's really creepy. But in the same way that, like say, comments on YouTube videos, uh, this is something that's been going on for quite a while, but it's gotten really bad lately. It used to be once in a while they would pull a comment on somebody, but now, even on a mundane sort of video, you can expect that 20 to 25% of the comments won't appear. You can always tell because the number of comments never matches the actual, if you count the comments, there's always a great difference. Can be up to half of the comments don't appear. But the number is still there because it automatically registers the count even though the comment doesn't appear. But that's kind of creepy. But YouTube is really getting, really out of hand. But it's funny, like I haven't had them hit me with anything or take down a video for a while, at least not that I know of. I mean, there's probably some firearms videos they pulled down and I haven't been aware of them. But, for a while they were on a rampage. But now what they do is a little sneakier in that they delete comments. And of course, they can put your video in a place where it won't get seen, it just won't get recommended. But it's getting to be really obvious now. But especially if there's certain words that trigger it, and then boom, comment gone. But it discourages because a lot of times people, they'll say, like they've commented like 4 times on the video and they can't get a comment to stay. It automatically gets taken down. But another thing, I always hear like on a video, there'll be a comment. Somebody will say, "Oh, there was a Harris or a Biden ad on before your video." You have to understand that isn't necessarily, because I have never seen it, but I hear people say that. But the algorithm, the comments or the advertisements aren't following the video, they are following the viewer. The advertisements are targeted to the viewer, not the video. It's the wrong way. They're thinking that that everybody's going to see that same video or the same ad. It isn't that way. They feel that you are vulnerable to that ad, so they'll hit you with it. It isn't the same ads that appear for everybody. It's for different. Every different person gets a different ad. A lot of times I'll even see videos where people say, "Oh, there's so many ads. Like there's an ad every 2 or 3 minutes, that they can't watch this video because it's constant ads." And I'll go and watch the video and I won't have seen any ads in it. So the ads are following you. They aren't following the video. You got to keep that in mind. And it just happens to be that the Democrats have got money to blow, and their YouTube is willing to take that money. And like I say, they have seemingly endless amounts of money to spend. They have this theory that they can buy an election. I was going to talk, well, I'll go into it maybe tomorrow. This whole thing with Minnesota, with the governor of Minnesota. I'll just say now, I know somebody one time who moved from Minnesota to California. And they lived there for like a couple of years and they couldn't handle it anymore. And they came back to Minnesota. And they were surprised when they came back. They said, what happened to Minnesota? In the time they had been gone, it had changed. It had become even more California because everything that California does, Minnesota's right behind them. No matter how crazy liberal California can be, Minnesota will try to outdo them. And it isn't all of Minnesota, it's just that Minnesota is controlled by the Twin Cities. And they are radically liberal. Their big goal is if they can be even more liberal than California. Like I'm sure when they had these Black Lives Matter protests, they were delighted. They thought, by God, now we have really got it. We have a better riot than what California can get going. So they let it run, let it burn. They love that sort of thing. It's funny when they talk when Waltz's wife said she left the windows open so she could smell the burning tires. You know, that this was a great thing to her. You know, they're strange people, but they aren't representative of the Midwest. What you see in Minneapolis has nothing to do with the Midwest. That's California. It's like a northern, colder version of LA. But you get out in the state of Minnesota, that's perfectly fine. I'll maybe go into that. That Walt is a joke. But politics in Minnesota has always been a joke. For a long time. I don't even go to Minnesota anymore, though it's only 20 miles away. I stay the hell out of Minnesota. So it doesn't get bad until, like if you're going to the cities, it's fairly good until you get to St. Cloud. From St. Cloud to the cities is all cities. You know, it's not worth your time. Just radical left. But maybe I'll talk about it more. But I don't mean to, you know, there are a lot of good people in Minnesota. I used to travel a lot in Minnesota. Many, many trips there over the summer doing the various art shows. And I met a lot of real nice people, but they aren't in the cities. That's a whole other bunch of people. But they control the state. This isn't unusual. Like, I think in Washington they have the same problem. Oregon, they have the same problem. These urban areas will dominate politics in the state and just ruin the state. Yeah, it's a shame, but that's what happens. Well, I'll go back to work. Now I can see if. Well, they seem to both still have lights on them, but like I say, I don't know. Is, you know, one left, one right? Who knows? But they maybe work, maybe don't. We'll see.